Picture it. It's not Sicily, but you land your dream job, negotiate a great salary, and you start planning your future, your vacations, your bonuses, only to find out 3 months later, the company is downsizing. Your paycheck has been delayed a couple of times. Your boss starts like avoiding questions about the budget. And before you know it, boom, you are laid off again. Again. Sounds like a nightmare, right? But it happens. I know people who've been laid off twice in a 2-year period of time, right? The question for you: have you ever accepted a job only to realize later that the company was struggling financially? Drop a yep in the chat if you've been there. But what if I told you that you could avoid this trap by checking an employer's financial health before you accept the job? That's exactly what we're covering today. So let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who are seeing me on LinkedIn, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Dr. Twanna. I'm an executive coach dedicated to helping professional Black women navigate their careers with confidence and strategy. And today we're talking about something that's critical. How do you check an employer's financial health before you actually take the job, right? Before actually accepting that job? Because the last thing that you want to do is land what you thought was your dream role, only to be blindsided by layoffs, delayed paychecks, and even bankruptcy, right? Job seekers often focus so much of their time, and it's okay to do that. You're supposed to do that on salary, benefits, company culture, but they forget to check one of the most important factors. Is the company financially stable? And here's why that matters. Job security. A struggling company may be at risk of layoffs. 2, pay stability. Financially unstable employers may delay paychecks or cut bonuses. 3, career growth. Thriving companies invest in their employees' development. Struggling ones do not, right? And 4, long-term success. What you want in a career path is like not this constant financial stress. Am I going to get my bonus this year? Am I not? One of my clients thought she'd landed the perfect role, only to find out a few months later that the leadership canceled her bonus, even after she had exceeded expectations, right? And so I shouldn't say it was, she came to me after that happened because we actually worked with her and got her first C-suite role. And what did she do? We checked the financials, right? We checked the financials, and the financials were good because she got like a $375,000 stock option, right? That's what happens when you have companies that are financially stable, right? And that's why we need to dig deeper before signing on the dotted line, before you accept, right? So, how do you actually investigate a company's financial health? Here are 5 essential sources that you can check. Number 1, public financial reports. These are for public traded companies, right? You can check the SEC filings, the 10K, the 10-Q reports at sec.gov. You can read their annual reports, right, on the company's investor relations page. And we're hearing a lot about, investors and everything with the whole thing that's going on, DEI, do I not or don't I, because there are things happening financially that are causing people a lot of concern, right? Listen to the earnings calls for insights on performance. And a tip here: pay attention to revenue growth, profitability, and debt levels. You can also check their credit ratings, business reports, and Dun and Bradstreet, the DNB, right? They provide businesses with credit risk reports, right? And then agencies like Moody's and Fitch and S&P rate those companies, they determine credit worthiness. Those reports, they determine like how stable is this company. And here's a tip: a declining credit rating signals financial trouble ahead, right? And number three, you do want to check the industry news and financial media. You can check Bloomberg, CNBC, Forbes, or Google News for reports of restructuring or lawsuits, right? USAA got caught up into this. They had a lawsuit and they settled, and for the first time in their 100 and some odd year history, they lost money. They did not come out ahead that year. So you do want to pay attention when there's these big lawsuits, right? And also, or leadership changes. That's another thing to look at. And also, what about checking out Glassdoor and employee reviews? Employees often leave in real time, right? Because employees are like, that's kind of shaky. I'm not sure what's going on. So real-time financial warnings, you can find that on Glassdoor by looking at how many employees are jumping ship, right? It's an issue. If everybody's jumping ship all at the same time, that's a problem. That's a problem. Okay. Red flags include things like layoffs, canceled bonuses, and shrinking benefits. One of my clients from a couple of years ago said, we're talking, and she noticed that the company started pulling back on things it always provided. Things like free coffee, they stopped. Bottled water, stop. Then, they used to do this celebration. Each section used to do a celebration for the birthdays in that month. They pulled all those things back as well. Those are the things you want to check. Yes, you want to check them beforehand, but like my employer, like my client, if you're working with someone, like working in a company right now, and you notice these things, start checking. It is so important to start checking. Okay. You know, and they started giving out fewer and one of the things that companies will do, you got to watch this, especially if you're already in it, right? You want to look at how they start handling their bonuses, because some of them will start giving out fewer employees top performance ratings. In other words, if you got a rating of 1 to 5, and a lot of people used to get 4 and 5 and get bonuses, but now everybody's getting 3, like everybody, no matter how hard you work, you're getting that 3, you know, fewer bonuses are being awarded. That's a red flag. Okay. You can also look at company press releases and their social media. Definitely follow the company's LinkedIn page for announcements. You'll want to watch out for frequent restructuring or leadership turnover. It is a sign of a company that may be struggling. Even if you're not a finance expert, you actually can assess a company's health by checking at these key indicators, right? So, first key indicator, revenue trends. Growing revenue equals strong financial health. Declining revenue equals possible trouble ahead. Like right now, Target and Tesla having some issues. Their stocks are falling, and they're looking at least on paper so far, they're looking at losing a lot of money. Again, you can look at the headlines and you can get a sense of who is doing what and what is happening. Those are the things you want to check out again before you sign on that dotted line, so you can possibly avoid a layoff trap, right? So again, falling profits may equal struggling business. Okay. And debt to equity ratio, low debt equals more financial flexibility, whereas high debt equals financial instability. There's a risk there, right? You want to look at things like cash flow issues. You look at Starbucks. Starbucks did this huge expansion over a number of years. It's like you can go 2 blocks this way, there's Starbucks. You go 1 block that way, there's a Starbucks. They did this huge expansion, right? But what is Starbucks doing now? Starbucks is closing companies. They're closing them, right? They had this huge expansion, but now they're closing stores. We know that positive cash flow equals it can actually pay its bills. No, negative cash flows, right? There's a risk of layoffs or delayed salaries. And there's some folks with a history of, and we saw this a lot during when they were doing reconstruction after Hurricane Katrina. Companies would come in and they, hire all these workers, and then overnight they poof-paw leave, and they didn't pay contractors, they didn't pay salaries. You want to be on the lookout when you start hearing a company get a lot of complaints about their late in their payments and whatnot. Red flags all over the face. Things should start pinging for you, and you got to dig deeper to be sure that you don't accept a job in a company that has financial issues, right? And so here are some other red flags to look out for. Frequent layoffs. Check layoff trackers like Layoffs FYI here, because some companies will send a press release about layoffs like late Friday evening, because they're hoping that no one will pay attention to that press release. But don't worry, layoffs at layoffs.fyi, they got you covered. They will tell you how many people are laying off. Like if you look very quickly at the video, and I'll show it again, right? You can see that Meta's laid off 3,000 people. You want to pay attention to how many folks they are laying off, because that'll tell you whether or not you're in danger if you get there of losing your job, or how financially stable they are. Because again, declining revenues or profits, continuous losses, major warning signs. Okay. Another thing is high employee turnover. That's an issue too, especially if you're looking at people in higher positions. It's also telling when folks at the bottom as well, the late people they start quitting too. That's a red flag. People leaving in large numbers often signals financial instability. Again, delayed vendor payments. If suppliers aren't getting paid, there's a chance that employees might be next. Right. And again, like I said before, leadership shakeups, are the CEOs and CFOs and COOs, are they resigning frequently? Because that can equal trouble is brewing. And tip, if a company you're considering is making stealthy layoffs, like where roles are just suddenly disappearing, it's a major red flag. Or if you're paying attention and they're sliding in like late on Friday evening, because most people really don't pay attention to press releases that happen on Friday. If you see that, you want to be careful, dig deeper, right? And I know if you're saying, but what if the company isn't publicly traded? How do I investigate that? So here's how you dig for private employer financials. You can check things, check their business credit reports. What are their ratings? Again, Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax all have a business rating, okay? Also, network with employees and former staff. Connect with them on LinkedIn. Read those Glassdoor, statements that they have on there, because you can find a lot on Glassdoor, right? And you can simply Google like financial stability at this company and put that company in there. And also attend industry events, because people will talk. Once it gets out, it's kind of a rumor mill, but you're trying to check out the rumor mill to see how true it is, right? And you also want to check local business registrations and court filings, because if folks are restructuring, filing bankruptcy and restructuring because they're trying to get rid of unpaid debt, red flag, red flag, red flags all over the place. Any lawsuits or unpaid debts, you want to look at that as well. And also compare the industry trends. Is the entire sector struggling, or is it just this one company that's having issues? And a private tip here, if a for private company refuses to discuss finances in an interview, just run the other way. If they won't touch it with a 10-foot pole, and you've done some poking around and you're like kind of iffy about it, just run away. Run. Like he says, Scar, run away. Right? No, he said Mufasa, run away, right? You're probably wondering now, how do I ask about financial health without raising red flags in an interview? So here are a few ways to do that. Here's a few ways you can phrase that. How has the company performed financially in the past few years? And what are the growth projections? Or you can say something like, can you share insights on how the company navigated the recent economic challenges? Or maybe something like, what investments is the company making for future growth? And again, tip here, if they avoid answering, or folks get uncomfortable, or they're very vague in their responses, dig deeper. When you leave the interview, you make nice and all that, but when you leave the interview, you will want to dig a lot deeper, right? Taking the time at the end of the day, taking the time to research an employee's financial health can protect your career and ensure you're stepping into a stable, thriving company, right? The next steps, I've created a free job offer due diligence checklist. You can grab it now by putting me in the comments. When you look at that, it will make sure that your next employer is financially stable and you're hitting all the right things in a checklist to be sure that they are. Again, just drop me in the comments for the link and I'll send that right over to you. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe for more advancement strategies. I want to thank you for being here, and all of you that are catching this video on the replay, thank you as well. As always, I'm appreciative, and I'll see you in the next video, so stay empowered. Thanks for watching. Ready to turn today's clarity into real progress? I'd love to support you. Click the link in the descriptions to connect. I'm Dr. Twanna, an executive coach for Black women, and I'll see you in the next one.